Hello, folks. My name is Chris Sundberg. I'm a cybersecurity engineer with Woodward Incorporated out of Fort Collins. I have with me Ben Allen from Allen CIO. We're going to ask him a few questions about what his role is and maybe give some pointers and a little bit in some business continuity topics. So Ben, can you tell me, your role is a fractional CIO. So how does a fractional CIO help the manufacturing process and manufacturing companies?
Great. Thanks so much. I appreciate you being here, Christopher. When we take a look at companies, what we've seen traditionally is that they have an IT department or they outsource all their IT. And in typically both scenarios, they're reporting to the chief financial officer of the company. And one of our recommendations is that the concept of a fractional chief information officer, one aspect is to help provide oversight to either of those entities, whether it's in-house or out-house. But the thing about a fractional CIO is oversight is just one small piece. And because of the fractional aspect, it's an option. If a company wants us to do that, they can. We can do that. But the role that we play is really trying to come into a company and providing technology leadership in different areas. An example is one of the things that we really like to kick off in the beginning is to do a survey of leadership and really understand the challenges, what training is being done from a technical perspective across the company, and what best practices that are or are not in place across the environment. And with that information, we can work alongside those leaders, define strategies, and really trying to find ways to get everybody in the company on the same page, because that's where there's really a whole lot of benefit to the company with using things the same way. And also our ability to figure out how do we integrate different applications? How do we leverage technology so that that whole promise of technology is making us money, making us more productive, and helping us be more lean as a manufacturer? That's really what the fractional CIO role can be for a manufacturing company.
That's very enlightening. And as a manufacturer up here in Fort Collins, I think one of the big topics, especially in the C-suite or in the upper executives, is really business continuity. So how can a fractional CIO help out with that business continuity topic?
Yeah, great question. Again, it's the case that that's a piece that's optional, but it's optional except that it's something we really like to push because in particular, I've got 27 years of experience, 20 of those owning a managed services company that worked with manufacturers as well as law enforcement agencies. And business continuity it's the most important item in a company. It's risk mitigation, which means you're not making money, but having oversight of that is critical. So oversight means checks and balances. There's a group either internally or externally providing business continuity. And business continuity, again, means that if anything happens to any system in our environment, it could be ransomware. That's one of the best examples, but it could be a server going down. It could be even the HR department that uses applications to manage all the staff, that if that application goes down, the question is, what type of business continuity do you have in place? And business continuity, a lot of it is having documentation in place, having recommendations, but really our favorite terminology is tabletop exercises. And what tabletop exercises helps define is sitting down with the leaders of every single business unit. Myself, I get involved alongside the IT department or the managed service provider, because what we want to understand is any big scenario that if something goes down, if something breaks, if something's not available, what are we going to do about that? And putting that into a document that is called our business continuity execution plan. That's critical. And the second part is really testing that business continuity plan. And so we really do like to be involved in business continuity. And in particular, it's not about if you're going to get hit anymore. It's when you're going to get hit. And when you do you have a plan? And that plan has been tested across all the different business units so that it's not a, oh my gosh, we got hit, what are we going to do? It's, oh my gosh, we got hit. We know that we can be back up in 2 hours and it's not going to be that big of a deal.
That's a really good point. One of the things that you mentioned there is a managed services provider and how you provide that interface between the company and in the organization for managed services. So in your opinion, and in kind of your experience, what have you found better? On-site IT department dedicated to business continuity and handling these issues, or outsourcing it to a contract IT department?
Good one. So I'll tell you what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is that as manufacturers grow that have an outsourced IT department, they're starting to bring some of those resources in. And the same thing that as a manufacturer grows that has an inside IT department, they're contracting out some of those services, meaning that it's just becoming more and more of a hybrid solution. And I would say this, that if a manufacturer is under 1,000 people, it's really hard for them to employ a security department. A security department of 3 to 5 people can cost $500,000 to $800,000 a year, and providing resources to manage that internal group, it's become so difficult. And the biggest thing that I've seen happening is that when you bring in a security leader or a security team, they need to be trained, and the more you train them, the more likely they are to leave and go work for another company. And so we see security as being one aspect, but again, that coordination that needs to happen between an internal IT department and external IT department, and make sure that everybody is getting along in the sandbox, because the right recipe for doing that can really lead to the lowest cost for a manufacturer, the best reliability, the best redundant services. And again, it's where, from a fractional chief information officer standpoint, helping to drive that interaction and to make sure everybody's playing well in the sandbox is the benefit that we can bring to a manufacturing company.
Yeah, and totally with your explanation there, I can see how that can definitely help the lean initiatives that we see, especially with smaller companies, proving that they can be lean and not necessarily bloated. I know in my own personal experience, security staffs do get expensive, and the job market's very hot around here. So yeah, you're right. You train them up, and it's off to the next high-paying job. So Ben, kind of to wrap up, I know we have an event coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about business continuity in a cybersecurity panel. You want to fill in the folks about that?
Yeah, terrific. So we have our first presentation. We think we're going to turn it into a series. It's going to be next Thursday, February 20th from 11:30 to 1 p.m. at EWI in Loveland. The cool thing is that we're going to be involving virtual participants. And when I say involving, it means they will have the ability to ask questions of the panel throughout the presentation. The presentation is called Cyber Attack Counterattack. And we are focusing on the most important aspect of cybersecurity. And you would think that is about getting all of the right security tools in place, but we're actually going to be making recommendations on how to potentially lower costs of some of those items, because the business value that they bring, the return on investment, is not enough to warrant the use of those items. And instead, our focus, the most important focus, which we talked about today, is all about business continuity. And I'm going to have 3 experts, you're one of them, who will be speaking to us and sharing their in the trenches experience on why business continuity is so critical, and the ability for anyone that attends this particular event is going to have a really strong idea of what they can walk away with and implement immediately to change how secure their business continuity plan is.
Well, sounds good. I'm really looking forward to participating here coming up on Thursday. So thanks for your time.
Great. Thanks so much, Christopher. I appreciate you.